Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. So, in this one I wanted to talk a little bit about competitive Call of Duty. Now, some of you may or may not know, depending on how long you've been watching me, some of you may or may not know that my favorite competitive player in Call of Duty is Crimsix, and there's a varying number of reasons why. I'm going to kind of get into that a little bit in this video. And it was around 2012 when I first started getting into the whole being a fan of different pub stompers and all that kind of stuff on YouTube. Sandy Ravage was my biggest inspiration, obviously, when it comes to creating content. Obviously, 2015 was when I started this channel that you see here. And the thing is, it all started with Sandy Ravage, and then through word of mouth, looking at comments, looking up different videos on YouTube, which was around the time when I was searching Call of Duty YouTube videos, as I was starting to take it seriously around that time and started playing it a lot more at that time. So one day I was watching a Marka J combat record video in terms of Black Ops 2. It was back in Black Ops 2. I was watching a Marka J combat record video, which was obviously impressive, and I realized right then and there, I was like, dude, I was like, man, do I have a long way to go. Back then, I wasn't even averaging a positive KD ratio when I saw that video. And I had watched YouTube long enough to know just who the best of the best were, or at least for the most part, in terms of pubs and Call of Duty. But I actually knew nothing about the pro scene. Absolutely nothing. There was little whispers here and there. But anyway, during that video, the combat record video that Marka J was making in Black Ops 2, there was also his friends list in one part of that video, and he was briefly talking about a few people, and basically Optic Scumper, or Scumpy, or whichever one you want to call him, was on his friends list. And then he said in that video that Optic Scumper is probably the best player right now in Call of Duty in the world today. And I was like, what? I never even heard of this guy. So if Marka J is saying that about this guy, I got to check this guy out. So I was checking out Scump, and I saw his gameplay videos, and I was impressed, of course. And I was like, wow, I totally get why Marka J would say that. And at the same time, that's how me becoming a fan, more or less, of competitive Call of Duty, to a certain extent, started. And ever since then, I started becoming aware of other players and just who the best of the best and the other players are. I would slowly but surely start watching tournaments in terms of the streams that they would have. I'd become a little bit more familiar with teams and all that kind of stuff. So, and basically with Crimsix, during his time on Complexity before he joined Optic, he basically dominated the living fuck out of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 and in Ghost specifically. Those are the ones where he stood out the most. Now, granted, he's a very talented player. He's very good at what he does, so he always shines in pretty much every Call of Duty that he plays. But with those two Call of Duties specifically, he basically stole the show. Granted, Scumpy was also always very good. He would always stand out. There would always be like a handful of players that would stand out, but I think it's safe to say that during Black Ops 2 and in Ghost, that Crimsix was basically dominating the competition, and in a lot of scenarios. In a lot of instances, single-handedly. I mean, we're talking about a 20-kill S&D. We're talking about games where he'd be the only one to go positive and get his team the win, which is basically what they do, what pub stompers do, but in a competitive setting. I mean, just imagine how hard that shit is. But the man did it, and he's won more tournaments right now than anybody else in Call of Duty history. And there is only one man in terms of console competitive gaming that has won more tournaments that he has, and that's Ogre 2 from Halo. And he's won 40 tournaments, and right now Crimsix is literally pursuing that. He wants to get 40 wins, hopefully by this year, and if not, I think he's at 33 or 34 right now. And he's aiming to do it either this year to tie it or maybe beat it this year. And in his eyes, there's only one GOAT, and that's Ogre 2. And rightfully so. And actually, Crimsix also played Halo. And here's the fascinating story of one of the reasons why he's my favorite player. And some of you may or may not know this. And that is that when Crimsix was making his transition back into Call of Duty after leaving Halo, because he originally started in COD and then went to Halo professionally, and then wanted to come back to COD. So before Black Ops 2 came out, everybody was playing Black Ops 1. And there was one other pro player that was well-known enough in Call of Duty, more well-known now, but he's one of the OGs, Patrick Price, also known as Aches, that basically had faith in Crim that they would do really well playing with him, like he and his team would do very well playing with him. And the thing is, back then, when when Aches, I'll just call him Aches, when Aches was the only person in the world to have faith in Crimsix, that was just amazing. I mean, in Black Ops 1, when Crimsix was playing that game until Black Ops 2 came out, he wasn't good and nobody wanted to play with him. There were no pros that wanted to practice with him. Nobody wanted to play with him because he wasn't really that good at that time. And Aches basically kept on saying, trust me. When Black Ops 2 comes out, trust me. And everybody was totally against it. I mean, TP was against it, like all the other players in the beginning were against it and everything like that. And then when Black Ops 2 came out, Crimsix, Aches basically said in one of the videos that he basically made a video explaining how he went pro himself. And he mentioned Crimsix and the story of Crimsix to a certain extent. And that's what I found so amazing is that he said that when Black Ops 2 came out, he said that Crim was playing the game more than anybody. And if there's one question I could ask Crim, like if I had the opportunity to ask him a question to where he would legitimately respond to me, I would ask him, just how much time did you put into Call of Duty Black Ops 2 to go from being the player that nobody wanted to play with to all of a sudden the player that literally dominated everybody during that game as well as Ghosts? Because if Aches is saying that Crim, especially from the pro scene, right? If he says that Crim played the game more than anybody, then we're talking a serious amount of playtime. So, and quite frankly, to get that good, I mean, I know that there have been times where, for a brief period of time, that I played Call of Duty for 12 hours at a time, day after day. I have, believe it or not. And the difference it makes in your shot and what you're able to do is quite amazing. See, this is why a lot of the best pub stompers out there are really that good, and why the pros are also really that good, because they have that time to invest in the game and to invest in the training, or to invest in the practice. So that's how their shots get so good. That's how they're able to easily snap on so well and be so good on target and all these different kinds of things, and react even better and come up with new strategies, new everything, you name it. Time is definitely a big factor, and obviously you have to do it correctly as well for that to take place. So, but yeah, no, he played the game more than anybody, and then he basically dominated everybody. And the fascinating thing to me is that nobody wanted to play him. Nobody wanted to play with him, and nobody wanted to give this guy a shot, like seriously. And look at it today. It's pretty fascinating how success and how perseverance really plays off, and how just not giving up and not listening to what other people say all the time, or not at all, and all that kind of stuff can really take a person that far. And he was basically like, and it was also really hard for him to basically, back in the day, there was no money in COD, and even if you won, there wasn't all that much. And to where it is today, I mean, the guy is definitely financially successful, that's for damn sure. So to make that kind of transition is pretty fascinating. And again, because nobody wanted to play with him, and now all of a sudden everybody would kill to play with him on the same team, or the fact that they respect him as much as they do, and for the fact that nobody else has won as many tournaments as he did. At first it was Big Timer. Big Timer was the first one to be called the GOAT because he was the most winningest Call of Duty player back in the day before Crim. So obviously there's Karma, who's won more rings. He's known as the GOAT as well. Actually, he's known as the GOAT in Call of Duty, period, because he's the one who's got the most rings. I know that Apathy, Aches, JCap, and Crimsix are up there as well. They've won 2. So who knows what will happen this year. Maybe if they win COD Champs, then Karma will be the first player to have 4. Crim will have 3. And if anything, I know it's pretty fascinating to see Crim get to Ogre 2's record, or to surpass it. And I think the fact that the beginning was just so different for him in terms of how he was playing, to the fact that nobody thought that he would be any good or any kind of things like that, is pretty amazing. And that's, to me, that's just the ultimate way to prove people wrong. That's the ultimate way of putting your middle finger in somebody's face, to where, like, they say, oh, you can't do it, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And that's one of the things he always mentioned in one of his videos or one of the interviews or whatnot, or one of the videos that they make when they were talking about when they were doing like the player profile. It's like the more you tell him he can't do something, the more he wants to do it, and the more he wants to prove you wrong. And as history has shown, it's pretty fascinating because Michael Jordan himself had that same kind of mindset. Like the more you told him no, he couldn't do it or it couldn't be done, for instance, the more he wanted to do it and the more he wanted to shut you up, the more fuel he'd have to his fire. And that's pretty amazing. And in this day and age, we live in a day and age that unfortunately a lot of people, for whatever reason, one reason or another, I'm not going to diss on anybody for this, especially since I always have a back and forth in my personal life with this. I mean, sometimes I'm so strong that nothing can beat me, and then sometimes I'm so mentally weak that, you know, you could just flick me and I can fall over. It's been something that's been up and down in my life. Maybe it's depression or whatever the hell it is. But the thing is that, like, all these successful people have that very successful kind of mindset. And I've been working, I'm not perfect at it, but I've been working on basically changing my mindset for the better just by thinking a little bit more positive. And even though I haven't fully accomplished my goal yet in terms of financial success, and I'm working on it as of right now, the thing is, though, just changing my mindset is part of what got me to where I am today in terms of the career that I've chosen for myself. And it's still a work in progress. It's not just gonna end here. It's gonna evolve. There's also opportunities for me to get in better positions and to do even more of what I want. And at the same time, with that comes better pay, obviously. And I work for a really good organization. And it wasn't too long ago that I was serving tables at a restaurant. And thank God for the restaurant, though, because I was able to save enough money to where I could take my time, at least for a certain period of time, to make that transition, because time is money, as you guys know. As opposed to just rushing and trying to get into whatever else was available, I basically was able to do that thanks to the restaurant. And at the same time, you know, it's pretty amazing how the mindset, just changing your mindset, can literally change everything. There's time, you got to change your mindset. There's time, and then there's also those other people that are around you, because there's no such thing as a self-made man. So at the same time, in terms of Crimsix, he's also had the support of his teammates, like from Patrick. You know, Aches was the one that first gave him his shot, so it all started from there. So if you look at it from every single angle, there's no such thing as a self-made person. It's like nobody has completely gone from zero to hero in just completely by themselves. It's the people that have been in their lives. It's the lessons that they learned in their lives and how everything comes around full circle. And I just thought it was fascinating. So I just thought I'd kind of mix that in a little bit. And also at the same time, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? Have you guys been through something similar? I want to know. Down below, please let me know your basic story if you have something that you want to say, and or if you've seen this happen yourself with other people that you know in your real life. Let me know down in the comment section. And I've run out of time here on this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think, and as always, I hope you enjoyed the gameplay and the commentary, and if you did, please let me know, and if you didn't, let me know what I could do to make my videos better, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.